Welcome to a special episode of Kingdom Inspiration News. I am your host, Gwen Goolsby Tillery, and today I have the pleasure of having on this young lady, amazing young lady named Leticia Hill. So, this is a special episode that I am dedicating to Lupus Awareness Month. May is Lupus Awareness Month, and many of us have heard about lupus. It actually is really impacting the African American community. Many African American women get diagnosed with lupus. And so we're going to have a discussion about it, what it's like, what dealing with it is like. And we're going to hear from someone who not only deals with lupus, but is faced with other medical challenges as well. And despite those challenges that she faces, she always manages just to keep pushing and keep smiling just as she is right now. So, welcome to the show, my sister and my friend, Leticia Hill.
Thank you, Miss Gwen, and thank you for having me on your show. How are you today?
I'm good. And as I said, she's always smiling no matter what she's going through. She just keeps smiling and she just keeps pushing. So, as I said, this is Lupus Awareness Month. So, I'm just going to give just a simple, basic kind of breakdown or information on lupus, and then we're going to go and I'm going to talk to Leticia, and she's going to share her testimony. So, lupus impacts the immune system, which normally helps the body from infection and disease. It begins to attack its own tissues, and this attack causes inflammation, uh, permanent tissue changes and damage, and it can become widespread, affecting the skin, affecting the joints, so you become very achy. It also affects your heart, your kidneys, your circulatory system, um, as well as your brain. So lupus really, it really has an impact on your overall body. So, as I said, Leticia, a lot of people say, oh, you inspire me, but this lady here is the one that inspires me for real. So, I connected with Leticia a couple of years back at a fair that we were doing, and I found out then that she actually was diagnosed with MS. And I couldn't believe it because, again, her strength and her resilience, her constant pushing, smiling, you just wouldn't know it. So, Leticia, tell us a little bit about this health journey that you've been on. Like, when did the health issues begin to impact you?
The health issues began to impact me back in 2005. I was experiencing a lot of body pain. Didn't know what was going on. Couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I couldn't walk. It was just constant body pain for no reason. And I just thought maybe I was just getting sick or having pneumonia or something. So I decided to go to the doctor. And it took many tests, took many doctors before I actually was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis by doing a spinal tap. So that's how I was diagnosed with that.
How
And
long? How long was that process? Because I understand sometimes it could be difficult to detect them, and so it might be a while. Was it a long process for you?
yes, it actually took 3 years.
Wow.
So it took me till 2008 to finally find the right doctor who I have now that diagnosed me with MS. So it took about 3 years.
So, what even in that, can you try to explain to the viewing audience why? Because you think, okay, you go to the doctor, something's wrong, they run a test, they figure out what it is, and you're diagnosed, right? So, what are the challenges around MS that make it difficult to diagnose?
Um, it could be, with me, it took, like I said, it took up until they did the spinal tap. They did blood work, it didn't come back. They did MRIs, nothing showed up on my MRIs at the time. They did eye prevision, what they call it. Nothing came back then, and they did many other testing. For I'm sorry, for multiple sclerosis. But like I stated, it took for the spinal tap to actually come back stating that I had MS. So it could be many challenges before you actually get that diagnosed that you have multiple sclerosis. And I've met a lot of people that been through that haven't had a definitive diagnosis yet, and may take years before they actually get their diagnosis.
Okay, so that's interesting to me. So yours was confirmed through the spinal tap. So I guess my question would be, I'm really trying to understand this. I guess my question would be, well, why don't all the doctors do a spinal tap? Or was it just that the spinal tap worked for you? It might not work for someone else.
Well, I think it's because the doctor that I have, he actually did everything, all the steps. Some doctors might not do a spinal tap. Some doctors may. Some doctors might not do MRI. Some might do MRI. Some might not. It depends on that doctor. So the doctor that I have now, he's done all those testing, but everything came back um, normal except my spinal tap, which shows
Okay.
that I had the MS in my system.
So once you get the diagnosis, I'm sure there's somewhat of a relief because now at least you know, but then there's also the realization that you've been diagnosed with MS. So what was that like?
It was a really bit of a challenge. Once I found out that I had MS, of course I had to do my research, and I wanted to meet others that was going through the same thing that I was dealing with. So once I found out what I needed to do as far as changing my diet and everything, and making sure that I stick with my doctor's appointments every 6 months, make sure I get my MRIs all the time, and having support from my family. And what keeps me going is my children, my friends, and all the support that I receive.
So it's been what if my math is right, what 18
Yes,
years? So it's
yes.
been 18 years since you were diagnosed. What are some of the challenges that come with MS?
Um, you can lose your balance. You can lose your eyesight. You can uh, have many chronic spasms. You can have uh, your appetite may change. You might not want to do the certain, like, you might be wanting to do something today, but then things might change. You might want to get out the bed. You may not want to get out of the bed, because I have days where I don't want to do anything. I just want to relax. I just want to just be to myself, have my space, this silence, because any day can be a bad day.
Right. So is it a lot of pain involved with it? A muscle ache? Like,
Yes, it's a lot of pain. You get spasms, you get burning, tingling. Some people may have bladder issues. Some people may have bowel issues. You can have uh, cognitive issues, fatigue. You can have many things that's dealing with multiple sclerosis.
okay, so again, it's been 18 years. There is no cure for it. So basically, it's treated through medication, correct?
Correct.
And
Correct.
so, is there something? I know you speak about every couple of months. There's a procedure that you have to go through.
Every month I do IVIG, which is a hemoglobin for multiple sclerosis. It's plasma that I receive once a month, and I do it one day, yeah, once a month for 3 hours.
Okay, and what does that do?
It slows down the progression of my MS, so it won't progress so fast.
Okay, okay. And is that a procedure that everyone that gets MS does, or do some people opt out of doing that?
It's something some people may want to try it. The doctors may see how it works for them, but there's other medications out there that's for MS that may help those that might not help me. So at
Okay.
the moment, this is helping me because all the medications that I was on wasn't helping me. I was still having flare ups. So the IVIG has been helping, keeping it under
Okay.
control.
So you get diagnosed with MS. You've dealt with MS. She's not just dealt with MS and now the lupus, but she's had multiple surgeries for other issues. When I tell you she's been through a lot medically, she's been through a lot, but again, she just keeps pushing and she keeps smiling. And that just speaks to how your mindset really dictate how things go in terms of your health. I think one of the reasons you're still, you still look good and you can still do so much is because of your mindset. You just have this unstoppable mindset that you're just going to keep pushing and keep going. So recently now, what made you or what made the doctors even begin to think about lupus? Well, what was going on? Because some of the some of the symptoms are similar to MS.
Yes, yes.
So how did the doctors determine, okay, this is MS and lupus, and not say, oh, well, maybe we misdiagnosed the MS and it's been lupus all the time?
Well, it was kind of my fault because they've been told me to go see a rheumatologist like years ago, but it was just me that just was being stubborn and I didn't want to go see one because at the time I'm like, I had so much going on with everything else. I didn't want to I felt like I had too many doctors at the time, and I didn't want to add on another doctor, and I didn't want to have that stress on me. So when I kept having all the burning, the tingling in my legs, and I barely could walk, and I kept being fatigued all the time and having headaches, I decided to go this time, and which was last year of 2022. And when I went in July, they did the testing, my blood work, and it came back that I had lupus. And they said I had it for a while. So for a while, I don't know how long, but yeah, I've had it for a while. So since they put me on the medication, which I take the hydrochloroquine, it it has it under control now. So I'm not as fatigued and all the pains that I was dealing with. I don't have that pain anymore.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about what it does. So what is so you mentioned you have pain. What are some of the issues associated with lupus?
The same like we said with MS, they both mirror each other. So it's like really no difference. I really don't see any difference. But when I speak to others that have lupus, I hear that it affects their heart. People in the hospital for lupus, like it really, really tears them apart. But I haven't experienced that. The only experience that I've had was fatigue and my legs being weak and spasms and the burning and the tingling. That's the only thing I had issues with.
Okay, so again, now is something else that you're dealing with, but you still keep pushing. I think it was about 4 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, 5 years ago, you actually started your nonprofit. And what is that geared towards?
My nonprofit, I started out um, specifically for multiple sclerosis. It's called Leticia Cure MS Association. And once I found out I had MS, I wanted to start my own nonprofit so I can help spread awareness, um, uh, give out resources, help people in my community that has the same thing that I have as far as multiple sclerosis. And then after I found out that I had other chronic illnesses, I brought in my nonprofit out to broaden out and to others as far as lupus, MS, aneurysms, chronic pain, um, neuropathy. So that way I can help spread awareness, help in the community, give resources, and be there to tell my story, share my story in hopes that it'll put a smile on others' faces.
So you said chronic illnesses. What do you think one of the biggest misconceptions might be around chronic illnesses
Um, I think people don't take chronic illness serious.
that they don't take it seriously?
Yes,
I
yes,
agree.
yes. People don't take. They see, they hear you, but they don't take you serious. That's how I
Yeah,
feel about it.
yeah, especially for especially I think about like those chronic illnesses, those illnesses that don't you can't necessarily see.
Hmm.
It's not apparent when you look at the person. So you look at Leticia and again, she's always smiling, she looks good. You would not understand the amount of pain and the amount of surgeries and all the things that she's gone through. So I would definitely agree with you that many people often don't understand the struggle and the pain and the trials of dealing with chronic illness because again, it doesn't have a certain look to it.
That.
When if I say to someone, I'm technically disabled, they're looking at me like there's nothing wrong with you
Hmm.
because they're looking on the outside. They
Exactly.
don't understand like as I sit in this chair right now, my shoulders and my neck, it's so tight and I'm in excruciating pain. Um, but again, you look at someone and you don't know that. And I think that that's one of the things in terms of getting out the word is that just because we don't look a certain way doesn't mean that we don't have our challenges that we face. And some days, like you said, are great days. I've been having some good days, but there are still some days where the pain can be pretty challenging. One of the reasons I tell people I'm ready to get out of New Jersey. I need to move someplace warm because the cold weather, like
Yes,
it just does something to my body. I feel like the cold like literally goes through
yes,
my body. And I'm sure you can identify with that. Like there's just so many things, so many little things that impact our lives that we can't do anymore that people take for granted. But again, they look and they're like, "Oh, well, what's the problem?" You know, she
exactly.
she looks fine to me. And the reality is that, yeah, I may look fine, but you don't understand, like you said, it's tingling, that's going on right now, this pain that's going on. You don't understand the muscle spasms or the weakness that can occur at any given moment. I mean, you just recently had an accident you share with me.
Yes, I fell Friday coming down the steps. My left leg gave out on me, and I fell down the steps and sprained my ankle. So now I'm like, okay, my leg giving out. Is it because now my MS has started to deteriorate my bones? Because now, even with I'm having chronic back pain, lower back pain. I had to go to the hospital for that. They say I have spinal sclerosis. So now I have to get an MRI for that to see what's going on with the lupus and the MS.
So
Need.
yeah, it is definitely an ongoing
Yeah.
battle, an ongoing challenge. So to those who suffer from those diseases, we know the struggle. We pray and we pray continued strength because some days can definitely be challenging.
Yes.
So you have an event coming up, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Tell us about the event.
This Sunday, May 21st, because this month is Lupus Awareness Month. So, what I'm doing is a Lupus Awareness Month. state karaoke party with the Lupus Foundation of America, and part of the proceeds will go to the Lupus Foundation of America. We'll be having raffles, and I'll be giving out gifts, and there'll be door prizes and um, donations, $5, towards the cause, and we're gonna have a good time.
Good. So, how can people get information about that?
They can contact me on my social media. On Instagram, I'm Leticia underscore Hill 53 or Cure MS 43. On Facebook, they can hit me on Facebook under Leticia Hill. And I will spell that for you because my name is hard. People can't never find me. And that's spelled Letitia. And last name is Hill, Hill.
So, yeah, so not only can you get in touch with her regarding this event, which will take place in Camden, New Jersey,
Yes,
correct? Yes, it
yes,
will take place in Camden, New Jersey. You could also connect with her and follow her story. And again, if there's someone out there that's listening, that may have MS or may have lupus, or you're suffering from a chronic illness that has not been diagnosed, just know that there are people out there that are fighting every day. That there are people like Leticia who have multiple diagnoses, but the fight is still in her and she just keeps going. And so I just encourage you to just keep going, keep the faith, keep believing, keep doing the work. And yeah, just watch and see, what happens. So a couple of things before we finish up. Um, what would you say to someone who might be going through what you went through now 18 years ago, where they know something's wrong, right? They feel it, their body's letting them know it. And they're going to the doctor, and the doctor's like, nothing's wrong, nothing's wrong. I mean, I even had one doctor tell me at one point after I had a major surgery, and I was still having a lot of numbness and tingling. He basically was like, there's therapy you can get. And I'm like, well, yeah, I know physical therapy. He's like, no, maybe at this point, you should seek counseling. So basically what he was saying to me was he didn't believe that there were still physical issues, that there was still pain, that there was still numbness, that there was still
right,
tingling going on. And I was like, did this guy just really say this to me? Like,
right.
I'm like, really? Like, because he was just so sure that because, he had performed the surgery, things would be right. And I was just like, wow. And so I was probably quiet for a minute, which is rare, but because
You had to
it
think
really
about it,
caught me
right?
off. It caught me off guard. I didn't expect that. So after I was quiet for a while, I was like, I guess part of me was processing what was said. And I said, okay, well, before we go that route, right? I said, an MRI will disclose if there's still something wrong, right? I
Right.
said, so instead of me going that route to begin with, can we get another MRI and see if, perhaps there's something that shifted, something that changed, something that's still not right, even after the surgery? And he was very confidently said, yes, absolutely. I think that's a good idea. And when the MRI came back, it showed that I still had significant herniation and stenosis on level C2 through C4 in my neck.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, I share that because we have to be our biggest advocates.
Advocates.
Like, if we don't advocate, if you don't advocate, oftentimes no one will. And yes, the doctors are the experts and they know, but we know our bodies, especially as women. We are in tune to our bodies. And so What would you say? I kind of just said what I said. Like I was like, no, I know something is wrong, and we're going to figure out what's wrong. So, what do you say to that person who, in that situation where the doctor's like, yeah, I don't think anything's wrong. We're not finding anything. What would you say?
I feel you on that. And you know me, I'm an advocate for everything. MS, lupus, all everything. Um from day one when I first found out that I had MS, I knew something was wrong. I don't care. Still to this day, I'm telling my doctors, I don't care what y'all do blood work, do urine tests, do MRIs, do CAT scans, whatever y'all gotta do it. Because what is physical therapy going to do? What is a what's the word you was just saying?
Oh, counseling
Counselor,
therapy.
or a therapist going to do? What are they going to do? You're still going to be in pain once you leave them. Like you say, we know our bodies. So I always constantly tell my doctor, I'm not leaving here until y'all do something. You have to do something because this pain is too unbearable. I can't walk, I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't take it no more. Especially if, and me, I'll let things go for a few months because I try to like deal with it. But when it becomes to that point where I'm just like, okay, enough is enough, yeah, I'm calling my doctor and I'm telling him, y'all gonna have to do something. All this other stuff that you're telling me, you have to do something. So that's what I do. I push them. I just keep telling them, you got to do something. MRIs, CAT scans, and CAT scans to me, I think shows more than the MRI and everything else because they say it takes the picture of everything in your body. I think
Mm.
so. It tells more about what's going on in your body. So I always tell people, don't let the doctors tell you anything different. That's your body. Yeah, and you tell them what you want. Because you gotta, like you say, we gotta advocate for ourselves because nobody else will.
Yeah, and it may mean, what, you have to go to another doctor.
Yeah,
You have to find another specialist. But the bottom line is you got to stay in the fight. You have to keep fighting. And of course our families are supportive. I know your family's supportive. I have a supportive family, but nobody is going to advocate the way we can advocate because
exactly.
we know the issues. We know the pain. We understand it. We feel it. And so for those, who might be in that situation, I know for me, initially when I started having some of the issues, lupus did come up, MS did come up, fibromyalgia came up. I had the whole string of, well, maybe it's this, maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe, there were so many maybes. And I just kept reading and I kept researching. And I was like, nope, that's not, nope, nope, that's not it. I had to have, I think you had carpal tunnel surgery as well.
Yes,
You had to
yes,
have carpal tunnel surgery in both hands. So it's been a process,
yes.
but through the process, I just, even with that, after, see, I really got to get back to this, advocating for yourself and knowing your body.
Mhm.
And yes,
Mhm.
the doctors are the experts, but you have to know your body. You know
Exactly.
when something's not right. So even when I had the carpal tunnel surgery, I had carpal tunnel surgeries in both hands, right? In my left and my right hand. And when I had the second one, within probably 6 months, I started to feel some of the symptoms again. And of course, if you know and understand carpal tunnel
Mhm.
syndrome, they're like, well, that can't be possible because the carpal nerve's been cut. So like something's not right with that. But I kept
Right.
saying, something's not right. I'm still feeling some shooting pain. I'm still feeling something like going shooting my neck and down from my neck. And that's when I kept pursuing and kept pursuing and kept pursuing and reading. Sometimes you gotta read and Google can be your best friend. I don't want
Yes.
you Googling everything and diagnosing yourself. But sometimes you have to put in the
Mhm.
work. And so I started Googling and I started researching and I started reading. And that's when not the doctor, I went back to the doctor and said, let me ask you. Now, this is what I don't understand because you're the medical expert, right? I
Mhm.
said, let me ask you a question. Do you think that perhaps the pain is not coming from my hand, but from my neck or my shoulder down into my hands. And the issue is a cervical issue and not a hand issue because I was seeing a hand specialist. And he
Right.
goes, you might be on to something.
Okay, okay, okay. Once again, we got to
Okay.
advocate for ourselves, right?
So now you understand why I'm so passionate about that because
Yes.
had I not done the research, had I not pursued it, I would still be thinking, okay, I would be thinking something's wrong with me. This
Mm-hmm.
pain is not real. Well, when I had when I went to another doctor, they confirmed. That's when they confirmed that there was herniation and stenosis. At that time, it was on 6 levels in my neck. So the surgery did correct 3 levels, believe it or not. It's still just 3 levels that were not corrected. But
Oh,
again, it was the advocating, the pushing, the getting more answers, the knowing like
yeah.
this doesn't feel right. You have to do it. Whether it is, I mean, we're talking about lupus and MS, and we're talking about, those
Anything.
autoimmune diseases like that where you don't necessarily see, and there's so many different directions, but it could be anything. It could
Anything.
be, you could be suffering from headaches, and the doctor's like, oh, you're just stressed. But you're like, no, it feels like something else.
Something.
Keep
Mm-hmm.
advocating for yourself, ladies.
You
Keep
have to.
advocating for yourself because that's how you're going to get results, is by continuing to push the doctors and having them figure out what's going on.
And that's the truth. That's the truth. And I'm a witness to that. That is the
Yeah.
truth. So everything that I've been through, even like 2 years ago, I experienced really bad nerve pain around my right side. And I went to the hospital. I knew something was wrong, but I couldn't pinpoint what it was. So I went to the hospital. They did blood work. They said it was shingles. And I'm like, okay, shingles. I've had shingles before because I've had it in my head. But this wasn't the right type of shingles. So I kept saying, okay, something just ain't right because I couldn't sleep I mean, the
Mm,
pain was so bad. I couldn't wear a bra. I couldn't even function. It was like my life was like over. So I'm saying, okay, going to the doctor. So I found a doctor at Rothman. Good guy. He did my neck surgery, did a really wonderful guy, a really wonderful job. So he's like, it could be shingles, but even though I didn't have the rash, it damaged the nerves around my right breast and my into the middle of my back. So they did everything. I did the cortisone shots. I tried it. I'll try it. Just I don't want to have no more surgery, so I'll try it. That didn't help. So year done went around, still having the pain, still couldn't wear a bra, still couldn't function. Even though I was trying to go out, but I still couldn't function because the pain was so bad. So finally, last year, oh, we might have to do surgery. I don't care what y'all do at this point, just correct the issue because I can't sleep. It's burning. It's just so unbearable. I felt like I was ready to just take my own life. That's how bad it was.
mm,
So I did the surgery. I just did it this past February. It helped a little, but it didn't do much for my breast area. So I say that to say pain is terrible. Any type of pain that you go through, any type of illness or anything, call the doctor right then and there. Don't sit and wait. Don't let it get to the point where it's okay. Now it's to that point where it's so bad because I think that's what I did. But
me
they
too.
kept giving me the run around like how they always do until I finally was like crying and was like, if y'all don't do something, I'm going to go out of my mind. And I'm I'm still recuperating from the surgery, but trying to put a bra on, I can't do. I have to wear a sports bra. Trying to still wear clothes is hard because the clothing touching my skin it irritates my skin. So I'm like, okay, when am I going to get some relief? What year is God going to give me some relief? Okay, I know I understand His purpose. He's keeping me here for a reason. He wants me to tell my story, share my story, and help others here in this world. But when am I going to get a break? When am I going to get a break?
And listen, I pray you get a break because, like I said, from the time we connected, she has been through so much, but she really is what I would call a true inspiration. And
Yeah.
because she just, again, that smile that she has, I have never seen her, no matter what she's going through, and she's not smiling. She's always smiling. She's always trying to remain positive. She's always trying to push through. So for those of you who again, might be struggling, she is an example of someone who has been through a lot, yet her faith has not been shaken. You are still her faith is still so strong in God and her purpose and fighting. And so I just honor you as always. I just
Thank you.
applaud you. And I just say, keep going, keep pushing, because you truly are such an inspiration to me. And I know to so many others. So before we end, as I do with all my guests, I want you to share something empowering, something inspirational, something encouraging, whatever God lays on your heart to share with the people that might be watching.
Don't give up. Never give up. Keep pushing. Don't take no for an answer. Advocate for yourself.
That's it. Don't give up. She is the perfect example of that. So once again, please share with the viewers how people can find you.
They can find me on Instagram and Facebook under Leticia Hill or Leticia underscore Hill 53 or Cure MS 43.
All right, there you go. There you have it. Hopefully, this interview, my goal was to give people kind of an inside look as to what lupus was like, what it's like living with something like lupus, because again, you see the person and they, may not look like they're going through anything, but it is a very trying disease. So I wanted her to be able to come on and share her story just to inform and to educate, but to also inspire. And she ended with that. Don't give up. So no matter what situation you're in, whether it be medical or financial or something else, don't give up, because if Leticia can keep pushing, so can you. So I thank you for tuning into this portion of Kingdom Inspiration News.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.